The Solar War. The Siege of Terra won by John French. The Emperor's Resolve. In the dimly lit chambers of the imperial palace, the heavy scent of incense hung in the air, a heady mix of olibanum and myrrh. The Emperor sat motionless upon the golden throne, his eyes closed in deep contemplation. The ancient banners that adorned the walls stirred gently in an unseen breeze, bearing the symbols of 1,000 battles fought in the name of humanity. The psychic energy in the room hummed with an otherworldly power, a testament to the Emperor's immense will. A soft whisper cut through the silence, its voice slithering through the Emperor's thoughts like a serpent. "Why do you resist, O Emperor? Your son comes for you, bearing the gifts of the gods." The voice was like a hiss of steam carrying an otherworldly malevolence. The Emperor's eyes snapped open, glowing with an ethereal light. "I resist because it is my duty," he replied, his voice like the tolling of a great bell. "Horus has been deceived. The gods he serves are not gods at all, but agents of chaos, seeking only the destruction of all that we have built." The entity chuckled, its sound warping the air. "And what of your other sons? Rogel Dorn, Sanguinius Jagatai. They prepare for a battle they cannot win. Your Imperium teeters on the brink." As the entity spoke, the Emperor rose from the throne, his presence commanding and imposing. "My sons are the embodiment of my resolve. They will hold the line against the darkness that threatens to consume us all." Time seemed to stretch as the Emperor and the entity faced off in a battle of wills. Finally, the Emperor turned his gaze to the vast windows of the chamber, beyond which the warp loomed, a swirling vortex of color and energy. The warp is more than a mere battlefield. It is a realm of infinite possibilities and unimaginable dangers. Horus has harnessed its power, and with it he brings forces that defy reality itself. As if summoned by the Emperor's words, the doors to the chamber opened, and Rogel Dorn entered. His expression was grave as he approached the Emperor, his footsteps echoing on the marble floor. "My lord, the preparations are complete. The palace has been fortified, and no traitor shall breach our defenses." The Emperor nodded, his eyes never leaving the warp. "The palace may stand, but the true battle lies within. We must guard not only our walls, but also our souls, from the corruption that seeps from the warp. Horus brings with him demonic entities and powers that we have only begun to comprehend." Dorn's brow furrowed, his determination unwavering. "We will meet their steel with our fury. We are the Imperium, the defenders of humanity. We shall not falter." The Emperor placed a hand on Dorn's shoulder, a rare display of physical affection. "Your faith gives me strength, Rogel. But remember, this war is not just about the survival of our empire, but the preservation of our very souls. We must be vigilant against the darkness that seeks to consume us." Dorn nodded, his voice steady. "I understand, my lord. We will guard against the corruption of the warp with every fiber of our being. The Imperium shall stand against the darkness." With a final glance at the swirling vortex of the warp, the Emperor returned to his throne. "Then go, my son, and prepare for the siege. I will meditate on the path ahead, for the decisions I make now will shape the fate of humanity. The forces of chaos must be stopped, no matter the cost." As Dorn left the chamber, the Emperor closed his eyes once more, his mind reaching out across the galaxy. The shadows of the Horus heresy loomed large, but the Emperor's resolve burned brighter still. The fate of Terra and all of mankind hung in the balance. The Emperor's thoughts turned to the mysteries of the warp and the secrets it held. He knew that the key to victory lay not in the numbers of his armies, but in understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. The warp was a realm of infinite possibility where the laws of physics were twisted and distorted. It was a realm where the gods of chaos held sway, and where the very fabric of existence was torn asunder. As he delved deeper into the mysteries of the warp, the Emperor's mind was flooded with visions of the past and present. He saw the birth of the universe and the wars that had shaped its destiny. He saw the rise and fall of civilizations and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. And he saw the threads that connected them all, the intricate web of causality that bound the universe together. The Emperor's eyes snapped open and he rose from the throne once more. He knew what he had to do. He would not simply defend against the forces of Horus. He would take the fight to them. He would harness the power of the warp and unleash its fury upon his enemies. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the Emperor would stop at nothing to ensure its survival. Preparing for battle. The vast halls of the imperial palace were charged with anticipation as Rogel Dorn, the Praetorian of Terra, stood before the holographic maps. Sanguinius, the angelic figure, was at his side, his focus unwavering on the projections of celestial bodies and armadas. Yagatai Khan, the embodiment of the storm, rested against a pillar, his strategic mind analyzing the potential maneuvers of their spectral adversaries. Brothers, Dorn's voice resonated. The hour is near. Horus's onslaught is imminent. Our readiness must match his fervor. Sanguinius, resplendent in his golden armor, acknowledged the gravity of their situation. Our defenses are robust, yet we must brace for the unforeseen. Horus has become an enigma. Yagatai Khan, the great Khan of the White Scars, known for his swift and unpredictable tactics, spoke with conviction. Our strategy must embody the tempest. Unpredictable, swift, striking with precision where least expected. We will harness the storm's fury, channeling our strikes with the unpredictability of a desert squall. Admiral Sukassin, a figure of strategic brilliance and loyalty, entered the chamber. Her presence was a testament to her dedication, having forsaken the comforts of the palace for the command center, the heart of the Bab Bastion. My lords, the Bastion is at maximum alert, its void shields energized, and the fleet poised to repel the invaders. Every gun platform is manned, and every space station is on high alert, awaiting the enemy's arrival. Adrian. No. How's there? Only none. Sanguinius approached the Admiral, his expression grave. Admiral, ensure that our defenses are calibrated to counter the unpredictable. The enemy will stop at nothing to breach our lines. Sukassin saluted crisply. It shall be done, my lord. We will not falter. As the commanders dispersed to their duties, the weight of the impending battle hung heavy in the air. Rogel Dorn stood alone for a moment, his gaze fixed on Terra, a silent vow etched into his resolute features. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and the fate of the solar system hung in the balance. The storm clouds gathered, their darkness deepening as the warp reality translation via the Cachtonic path brought forth a behemoth armada. The defenders of Terra steeled themselves for the onslaught, their resolve unshaken in the face of the coming tempest. Loyalty and deception. Loyalty and deception. Abaddon stood tall amidst the swirling chaos of the warp. At his side, the sorcerer Ahriman addressed the gathered traitors. Brothers, hear me. Ahriman's voice carried an unearthly echo. The time has come to pledge our loyalty to the true powers of the galaxy. Chaos offers us strength, eternal life, and the chance to shape the destiny of the Imperium. Who among you will stand with me and embrace the glory of the Dark God? Abaddon raised his massive warhammer, its runes glowing with an infernal light. I, Abaddon, once a proud servant of the Emperor, now forsake my oath. I pledge myself to chaos undivided, and I shall lead the Black Legion in the name of our Dark Masters. Meanwhile, on the far-flung battlefields of the Imperium, Garviel Loken, a loyal son of the Emperor, sought the memories of Mercedes Olaton, a remembrancer whose eyes had witnessed the glory of the Great Crusade. Loken knew that her recollections could hold the key to unraveling a plot that threatened the very foundations of the Imperium. What do you remember, Mercedes? Loken asked, his voice gentle but urgent. Your dreams, your visions, they may be the key to understanding the threat we face. Mercedes' eyes flickered with uncertainty, but her voice remained steady. I remember fragments, Captain Loken. Visions of Horus, the Emperor's favored son. But something is different. In my dreams, he is consumed by darkness, his eyes reflecting the twisted faces of the Chaos gods. I see the Emperor, his golden light dimming, as if struggling to hold back an onslaught. Loken's gaze hardened. Your memories are crucial, Mercedes. They speak of a greater cause, a threat that endangers the Emperor himself. We must uncover the truth before it is too late. Unbeknownst to them, the paths of Abaddon and Mercedes would soon intersect, their opposing loyalties setting the stage for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the Imperium. As Abaddon's forces gathered strength, Mercedes' memories became a beacon of hope, a reminder of the light that Chaos sought to extinguish. Little did they know, their choices would shape the destiny of the galaxy, forever changing the course of the Horus heresy and the fate of humanity. As the winds of war howled through the Immaterium, Abaddon's war hammer crackled with dark energy, a tangible manifestation of his newfound allegiance. The gathered traitors, their eyes alight with fanaticism, brandished their weapons in response, a sea of blades and guns reflecting the chaotic light. Abaddon's voice, deep and commanding, echoed through the warp. Brothers, our path is clear. We march towards Terra, and with each world we conquer, the Imperium's light will dim. The Emperor's reign ends, and a new era of chaos and glory shall begin. The war intensifies. Rogaldorn, the Imperial Fist's Primarch, stood tall, his resolve unwavering as he surveyed the battle-scarred terrain. Beside him, Sukassin, his trusted advisor, nodded in agreement. We must stick to our plan, Sukassin, Rogaldorn said, his voice firm. We can't let Horus dictate our moves. We know what we can see, and we'll focus on that. But, Lord Dorn, what about the unknown elements? Sukassin asked, his brow furrowed. Horus may have hidden motives, and we can't ignore the possibility of surprises. Rogaldorn's expression turned stern. We can't let fear of the unknown control our decisions. We'll proceed with caution, but we won't be swayed by speculation. Our enemy is cunning, but we're not blind to his tactics. Meanwhile, Abaddon, the traitorous leader, consolidated his power, forging alliances with influential figures. Among them was Zardu Layak, a gray-armored priest of the Word Bearers, who served as a demon priest and was deeply devoted to the Chaos Pantheon. Layak's allegiance to Chaos was not solely driven by loyalty to Abaddon or the Black Legion, but by the will of the gods. The sorcerers of the Thousand Suns and the Word Bearers worked tirelessly to conceal the movements and intentions of the traitorous forces. Mercedes Olaton, held captive by Abaddon's forces, clung to the message from Euphrates Keeler, a Saint Daedon. The message held the key to saving everything the Praetorian fought for. Desperation drove Mercedes to send a signal for help. A traitorous officer reported to Abaddon, his voice laced with excitement. Lord Abaddon, we've received a signal from Mercedes Olaton. She's being held on the Antaeus. We can crush the defenders and claim the message for ourselves. Abaddon's eyes gleamed with ambition. Assemble our forces, we'll take the Antaeus, and with it, the message that will secure our victory. On the Antaeus, Mercedes' desperation turned to despair as she realized the futility of her attempt. The defenders, already weakened, struggled to hold back the traitorous forces. The air was thick with tension as the two forces clashed. A White Scar warrior spat, his sword flashing in the dim light. You're a traitor, Abaddon. You'll pay for your treachery. Abaddon sneered. I'll avenge my legion's losses, and I'll show you the true power of chaos. The outcome of the battle hung in the balance, as the fate of the galaxy teetered on the brink of destruction. Desperation and defiance. The corridors of the Antaeus thrummed with tension as Mercedes Olaton paced in her quarters. The walls, once a shield against the cosmos, now seemed to encroach upon her. Outside, the crew's whispers betrayed their fear. "Vec, it's too perilous to keep her here," Colm's voice, stern and close, halted outside her door. Captain Vec's sigh carried the burden of leadership. "She remains. She's pivotal to our survival." Mercedes, ear pressed to the metal, listened intently. Axinia, her vigilant bodyguard, stood by the door, her stance speaking volumes of her readiness to defend Mercedes or leap into action should the plan require her skills. "Coln, the message she bears is from Euphrates Keeler," Vec insisted. "We become targets by harboring it," Coln countered. Retreating from the door, Mercedes' pulse quickened. The message's significance was clear, and her duty was to act. "Vec, hear me out," she implored, her voice a beacon of resolve. As the door slid open, she faced the two men. Coln's gaze held caution, Vec's a spark of hope. "I can turn the tide," Mercedes declared. "The message is a call to those who resist. We must rally." Coln's demeanor softened, his conflict easing. "What's our move, Mercedes? Time is our enemy." "We broadcast the signal. It's our beacon in the darkness, a cry for unity against our common enemy. It's a risk, but one we must take." Vec nodded, a plan germinating in his mind. "Axinia, prepare the comm system. Coln, secure the decks. We're not going quietly." As the crew sprang into action, Mercedes felt a glimmer of hope. The Antaeus, once a symbol of desperation, was now a vessel of defiance. But not everyone shared their conviction. Lieutenant Riker, a high-ranking officer from the opposing faction, had infiltrated the ship. His personal connection to the destroyed moon of Oberon fueled his resentment towards Mercedes' faction. Riker's eyes narrowed as he monitored the crew's preparations from the shadows. "You fools," he whispered to himself. "You'll never get that signal out. I'll see to it." Moral stand. The Imperium's war continued unabated, with humanity's fate hanging in the balance. Captain Garville Loken, a paragon of the Space Marines, faced a dire ethical dilemma. The hunt and kill protocol, a desperate measure to eliminate escaped high-risk prisoners from Titan, who threatened the Imperium's stability, weighed heavily on. These prisoners, now fugitives after a chaotic assault during their transfer near Uranus, were capable of inciting violence and rebellion. Regent Malkador, prioritizing the greater good over individual lives, endorsed the protocol as a necessary evil in these tumultuous times. Loken, however, could not reconcile this with his duty to protect the innocent. "Malkador, we must discuss the fate of these prisoners," he implored, his voice a blend of respect and urgency. "Their deaths would not be justice, but a stain upon our honor." Malkador, unmoved, responded, "Our war demands sacrifices, Loken. The survival of humanity eclipses the fate of a few." Yet, Loken remained steadfast. "I cannot in good conscience allow this. I propose an alternative. Let me lead a mission to Jupiter, where the fugitives are likely headed. We can still save them." Sukassin, a figure of discipline and loyalty, observed the exchange, her strategic mind considering the implications. She stepped forward, her voice breaking the silence. "With all due respect, Regent, Captain Loken's plan has merit. I have seen his strategies unfold on the battlefield. His success is not a matter of chance. If there is a possibility to resolve this without further bloodshed, should we not take—" Malkador regarded her with a newfound interest. Very well, Sukassin. You shall accompany Loken on this mission. Your tactical acumen will be invaluable. As Loken and Sukassin prepared to depart, a young officer approached, conflict etched on his face. Captain, I wish to join you, but my orders. Loken placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Follow your conscience, soldier. That is the truest order of all. The officer nodded, a determined glint in his eyes as they set off towards Jupiter, a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. The mission would test their loyalty, challenge their morals, and perhaps change the course of the war. But for Loken and his allies, the risk was worth taking to preserve the essence of what they fought for, humanity's future. Ambition and sacrifice. Inside the Antaeus, Mercedes Olaton addressed the assembly of crew and warriors, instilling courage amidst the chaos. We are not lost to the stars, she proclaimed. Our combined skills are our lifeline. Together we stand united against the darkness. The scene shifts to the phalanx, where Rogel Dorn surveyed the holographic displays with a strategic eye. We must hold the line, he declared, his voice resonating with determination. Mars, Luna, Terra itself, they must not fall. His generals absorbed the gravity of his words, the silence heavy with the burden of their looming decisions. Deep within Luna's catacombs, Abaddon led his warriors with a zealot's passion. Onward for the ascension of mankind, he bellowed, his fervor reverberating through the ancient halls. Back on the Antaeus, hope flickered anew. A navigator stepped forward. I can guide us through the asteroid remnants that haunt Jupiter's orbit, he volunteered. A tech priest, his mechanical limbs a symphony of precision, added, I will restore our communications. Dorn broke the contemplative stillness of his war council. Deploy the reserves to bolster Luna's defenses, he commanded. It's a calculated risk, but our only option. His generals nodded, the weight of sacrifice understood. In the throes of battle in the catacombs, Abaddon's forces met the defenders with a clash of steel and will. Advance, he urged. Our destiny is before us. The conflict was fierce, the outcome uncertain. Meanwhile, the Antaeus hummed with renewed vigor, its crew emboldened by Mercedes' leadership. Together we are the architects of our fate, she affirmed, as the ship maneuvered through the treacherous debris, a testament to their collective resolve. The final confrontation. Rogel Dorn stood resolute before the holomap of Terra, the weight of impending conflict evident in his stance. Mercedes Olaton, marked by her trials, approached with a data slate in hand. The War Master has fallen to darkness, she declared, her revelation confirming Dorn's fears. With a nod, Dorn acknowledged the gravity of their situation, and we steel ourselves for what is to come. Transitioning to the moon's fortress, Abaddon and his elite breached the sanctum of Matriarch Heliosa 78. Yield the gene secrets, Matriarch, and join our cause, he demanded. Defiant, the Matriarch refused. I stand by my oaths, even in the face of treachery. The ensuing struggle was swift, with Abaddon claiming victory and the coveted secrets. Back on Terra, the Imperial Palace buzzed with preparations. Dorn, orchestrating the defense, issued commands with precision. In a separate quarter, Loken observed the hustle, his thoughts unspoken, but his resolve clear. He watched Mercedes depart, her warning echoing in his mind, and steeled himself for the battle ahead. The narrative then shifts, detailing the chaos on Luna, where defenders valiantly repelled the Sons of Horus. Abaddon, navigating through conflict and memory, reached the Gene Cult Sanctuary, where the defenders' fierce resistance was ultimately futile against his relentless advance. As the chapter progresses, new developments unfold. A ship from the 5th Legion signals a potential alliance. Horus's forces inch closer to Terra, and the word, bearers, prepare a dark ritual. Visions and encounters hint at deeper machinations, setting the stage for the next pivotal moments in this galactic saga. The perspectives of Dorn and Loken are clearly delineated, reflecting their distinct roles in the unfolding drama. Dorn's strategic command contrasts with Loken's readiness for direct confrontation, each driven by their own sense of duty and loyalty. A signal officer rushed to inform the admiral of an incoming transmission from a ship belonging to the 5th Legion, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Meanwhile, Horus, the War Master, stood in his throne room, observing the unfolding events. He watched as the survivors of Kamba Diaz's fleet fled Mars, the slab ships descending to the surface, and the defenses of Luna falling silent. Abaddon, one of Horus's sons, gazed up at Terra, its reflected light a beacon calling him to battle. The Phalanx, a behemoth of a ship, led the scattered vessels of the V Legion and the remnants of Perturabu's ships towards the Imperial capital, determined to spill more blood before the battle was won. In a dark, foreboding chamber, Ahriman of the Thousand Suns prepared for a ritual, the stone sphere of the Solitarium floating above the floor, its power building in the Immaterium. Mortals with connections to the warp, marked by the word bearers, stood ready, their fate all but sealed. Ahriman questioned the necessity of the atrocity to come, but it was too late to turn back now. Across the war-torn landscape, visions and encounters hinted at the machinations of the gods, a comet shrine resonating with ritual significance, glimpses of Pluto and apocalyptic symbols, a shadowy figure speaking in cryptic tones, and Abaddon and his Justaran fighting through Luna, the Warren of Blackstone. The stage was set, the players in position, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance.